What were some things that you appreciated from the pastoring in Uganda that you tried to implement in your new church plant up in Washington State?
Yeah, great question. I think the one thing that instantly comes to mind is when you're going into a city that's not your own, to a community you're not used to, that you didn't grow up in, the same principles that apply to mission work on foreign mission fields also apply to those new places where you're planting a church or where you're going in to do that work. And it may not be as dramatic, but the one kind of lesson that always stuck with me, and the reason why I think we've been successful, I mean, God's the reason, all glory to God. But one of the practical things that he's taught us along the way is, I think being a missionary has enabled us to come into new communities and new places like up in Washington or down here in Florida or in San Diego, where it's a fluent area, and to see things from other people's perspectives, meaning to adapt to the culture that you go into, to adapt to the place that you go into, not to bring your baggage and your junk from what you've experienced in where you grew up or where you just were, but to adapt. So to see it as a mission field would be the answer. Like when you're church planting, that's a mission field. Those are people that you're going to have culture shock. Like we have some people come down just right now. They're having culture shock living in Florida. Yeah.
It's different. It's
different in Florida, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Well, I experienced that too, because I moved from Washington State.
Yeah, you were up there.
Where it's rainy, gloomy, and there's not a lot of skin showing, to like Florida, and everyone's like half naked all the time.
Exactly. I'll never forget the first time I met this guy was on Zoom. And he was in I thought he was in like an office or something. I didn't know, because you're on Zoom. You see all the little squares.
Well, I'm a church planner, so my office is the community. I think I was at Capital One Cafe. So I remember that.
I remember watching this guy. He's talking, and then there's all these like bikini ladies walking around behind him. I'm like, is that your church? What kind of church you got down there?
That was totally.
Turns out he was in a cafe. So.
Hey, and just to make sure. I mean, it's Patreon, so it doesn't really matter. But my wife was we had another meeting there. My wife was there reading a book. I was like, man, I just got to do this pastor meeting real quick, an hour. And
was she wearing a bikini back there?
She wasn't. She wasn't in a bikini. We were all good. But it was just so funny, because I remember the guys they kept on looking. I was like, what are y'all looking at? She's like, we're looking at your stuff. And I didn't even think about it. I didn't even notice it. It was like in the background.
That's your community though. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. You're adapting to, because that for you, that became your normal experience. Yeah. But for others who don't live here, that's a weird thing. So, that's what I'm talking about, is you gotta really, I would say, respect the culture you're going into, appreciate what it has, and in a biblical way to adapt yourself to that.